Good morning, class. So, here is our next presentation, and today our first topic will be genres and game loops. Okay, alright, before we start, I would like to ask maybe some of you might know the game that's being presented here. It's made by Bethesda Games, and I know that it's a pretty recent game, so you might be able to recognize it just by the screenshot. Alright, next. Alright, so we'll be studying some game genres. I know some of these games might be familiar to you. There is Stray. Here in the middle, we have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And here's a pretty new one, but kind of an old one as well. Here's the remaster of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Alright, so let's first answer the question, what are game genres? Alright, so the definition of game genres is basically, game genres are basically how the game is played. And genres are based on the gameplay mechanics and player actions. Alright, if you guys have caught up with the game scene recently, you might be able to figure out who this is on the screen right now. You might know him from Claire Obscure. So, Expedition 33, if you guys have played that game, you guys might recognize this guy. Alright, here's one example. So, first of our genres is shooter. And so, the first game we have here is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This is a remake, not a remaster, of the titular game, the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I think came out in 2006 or 2008. But yes, this game was remade with better graphics, a different story, and if you guys do have the time, I recommend you guys check it out. Alright, our next genre is roguelike or a dungeon crawler. So I know you guys like playing games like Legend of Zelda, some games where you have to go into dungeons. Maybe you guys have heard of Minecraft Legends as well. That's another example of a great roguelike or a dungeon crawler that Minecraft has made. So basically, the roguelike name came out from a game that came out in the 1980s called Rogue, and it was the first dungeon crawler type game that was made back in the 1980s. So, with this game, Hades, it basically has the same game mechanics, and it basically tackles Greek mythology. If I'm not mistaken, this is Greek mythology. All right, and this was also made in 2020. All right, here our next genre is called fighting. And I know you guys have played this game. I know some of you might be familiar with this game that's called Sifu. It's a game where you fight bad guys, but if you die, you age another year, and over time, the more levels you beat and the more deaths you have, the older you become, but the slower you become. All right, and this game was made in 2023. All right, so let's study game loops. What are game loops? Game loops are the fundamental cycle of actions that players repeatedly perform while playing a game. Um, Before we go on to our next, I would go on to our next slide. I would like you guys to think up to yourselves and try to figure out what are some games that I've played that have some core game loops of some of the games that I've played previously. Maybe you guys can figure that out. If not, you are free to research them and try to figure out what games that you have played, and try to figure out what are those fundamental cycle of actions that I do when I play those games. All right, for our first game loop, we'd like to study Minecraft, and I know that this is a very familiar game to you all. All right, so for its core loop, number one, obviously when you play Minecraft, the first thing you'd like to do is collect resources. You gather and explore. You collect resources. You mine. You hunt and explore new areas. So that's one thing that I like about Minecraft is that it's open world, and basically the name of the game is you have to mine and you have to craft, and that's why it's called Minecraft. All right, for number two, I want you guys to craft and build. So basically, that's part of the core loop of Minecraft is you craft, you build, you make tools, you make weapons, you make structures, and you improve survival. So basically, I know at night there will be zombies, there will be spiders, there will be skeletons, but with this mechanic of crafting and building and the resources around you, using the resources around you, you guys are able to survive. With what you have, you can build your houses, you can enchant your weapons. So that's a big thing, and that's one of the big core loops of Minecraft. All right, for our final core loop from Minecraft, we have survival and progress. All right, So when you play Minecraft, you have to defend yourself against your threats. Like I said, your mobs that are spawning. You have your zombies, your Endermen, your spiders. So all right, so you have to survive. So what do? You upgrade your gear, and you also take on bigger challenges. So your gear, like some of you may know, yes, you have your iron, you have your gold, you have your diamonds. So over time, you also have your netherite. So over time, you're going to have to upgrade your tools. You have to upgrade your gear, and then you can take on bigger challenges. For example, you have the Ender Dragon, and then at the end, well, not really the end, but some of the newer mobs that have been coming up is the Warden, and he's pretty difficult to defeat. So obviously, when it comes to that, you always have to make sure that you have the proper gear and you have the proper food. You have everything that you need to beat these bigger challenges. All right, for our next for our next core loop, I want you guys to see this game. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but if you have, that's great. Um, this is one of my favorite games that I've played. It's called Papers, Please. All right, for this game, basically you are a border inspector, and basically you let people into the border, and you have to check their documents. All right, so here are some of the core loops of the game. All right, number one, you have to inspect. You have to check their documents against the rules and requirements. When you play the game, you are given a rule book where you have to check if they have their passport, do they have their visa, do they have everything, is everything matching, do their faces match to their documents, do their names match, do their birthdays match. So this is a big if you're into details, if you're into checking specific details about a person, their birthday, their age. Sometimes when it comes in the later game, you might have to do a full body search to check if they have contraband. So, as the game progresses, the game also becomes more difficult. All right, number two, you have to decide. So, when there's a stamp that you guys have where you can approve or deny or detain entrance, especially if they have contraband or if they have um, misleading information in their passports, their work documents. So that's one thing. If you have a great eye for detail, Papers, Please is a game for you. All right. Finally, we you have to resolve consequences. You have to get paid or cited, manage family survival, and move on to the next day. All right. So another big loop for this game is that with every day comes a different challenge. Sometimes a guard might come up to you and might bribe you. Sometimes, and it's up to you if you will take that bribe. Do you take that bribe for the sake of protecting your family? Do you take that bribe and report the person that bribed you? That's really it. You get cited. Maybe you might make a mistake. Maybe you might let people in that you shouldn't have, or sometimes you reject the people, or you deny the people that were supposed to come in. So it's really the big thing of this game is details, details, details. So when you guys play this game, uh, maybe we could even try to tackle this game in class. But the biggest thing about Papers, Please is your details. So you either get paid for your work or you get cited. You also have to manage family survival. Guys, this is not just a game about you. You also have your family with you. You have your mother, you have your wife, you have your kids, and you have to make sure that they are warm and they are fed. So that adds to the challenge of the game. All right, and you also have to move on to the next day. So because every day, sometimes the border might change, sometimes the rules might change, or sometimes they might add documents. All right, and finally, for our core loop for Elden Ring, I know you guys have played this game before. You've probably heard of this game. If you haven't, Elden Ring is a game set in a fictional world, and it's based off the Bloodborne games, the Souls games. All right, so I know that Elden Ring is pretty recent, but it still has the same mechanics as its previous brothers and sisters. All right, so here's the core loop for Elden Ring. I know that if you guys have played it, you can understand how difficult it is. So because as you progress and as you level up, the game can get very difficult. All right, let's study its core loop. Number one, it's explore and discover. We'll travel the open world, uncover locations, and encounter enemies or secrets. Alright, the unique thing about Elden Ring is it became an open world game. It was not limited to a cave. It wasn't limited to a specific path like its previous um, Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls games of the previous years, weren't as open world as Elden Ring is now. Since with the advancement of technology that we have now in these past few years, we're able to make the Dark Souls games or Elden Ring into this massive open world where you're able to encounter enemies, encounter uh, uh, merchants or traders. So I want you guys to understand that the first core loop is you have to discover, you have to explore, open the open world. You have to uncover locations and then also encounter enemies or secrets. Sometimes you might need to use a power to open a secret door. So that's the big thing, and that's the big core loop when it comes to Elden Ring. All right. The second thing for Elden Ring is you have to fight and overcome challenges, and you engage in real-time combat using weapons, magic, or summons to defeat foes and bosses. All right. When it comes to fighting and overcoming challenges, um, during the beginning, especially, this game can really bring a lot of challenges when it comes to fighting. So you're given a sword, you're given a shield, you're given some magic that can either heal yourself or hurt other enemies. And you also have the option to have summons, either call in your friends, since Elden Ring is also a multiplayer game where you can invite your friends to help you defeat these bosses, or you can summon in magical creatures to help you fight. Alright, and so you have to engage in real time combat. So this isn't a turn based game. You don't take turns when you fight. This is you fighting them and they'll fight you. So with this, you really need to have a high response time. You guys need to stay alert for any enemies that might sneak up on you. So that's what you might need. And then also, one of the things that you have for combat is magic. So you have these magical abilities, you have these magical weapons. So hopefully, uh, when you hopefully if we'll ever be able to play Elden Ring over time, hopefully you guys can understand this and we can understand its core loop. And all right, so finally we have progress and upgrade. All right, when you play this game, they have these currencies called runes. It comes from when you beat bosses, when you pick up coins, when you loot enemies. So, when you use these runes, you can use these runes for weapons, you can use these runes for armor, you can use these runes for upgrading. You can use this also for, yes, for leveling up, because every level you level up, you will need a certain amount of runes to level up. So hopefully, as you play along, you can have enough runes to level yourself up multiple times and become the Elden Lord. All right, so that is the big goal of the game. Is when you play Elden Ring, you want to fight, you want to defeat all the bosses, and you want to defeat all your enemies to become Elden Lord. All right. Next, you want to improve your gear. So the gear that you get in the game, especially early on, might not be the one that you might like, or sometimes it might not be as strong as some that you might find out in the open world. So you're going to need to improve your gear to protect yourself. Um, you need to sometimes wear heavy armor, so you also might need to train yourself up in heavy armor or light armor. So hopefully you guys can understand that when improving gear, you need to make sure that everything fits to your playstyle and to your liking. All right, you also need to prepare for the next area or tougher battles. So Elden Ring is not the open world that is immediately open to you. You have to go to those places and you have to explore, and you have the further you go into the world, the more difficult these bosses become. So that's the final core loop for the game Elden Ring. Alright, for our final challenge, I want you guys to answer in that separate document what are your favorite games and why. I want you guys to give at least three and figure out their genre and their game loop. Alright, so finally, we also have to put it in our Google Doc and submit it in this link. I will be providing the link in our GC. So thank you guys for your time and thank you guys for understanding that just for our time we had to be on recorded. But thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and see you guys next time.